Welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating manuscript that just completely blurs the line between fiction, memoir, and maybe even a little bit of wishful thinking. It's a story about finding a house that in turn helps you find yourself. Right from the jump, the manuscript's very first line sets this incredible tone of destiny and mystery. It's this idea that some places, and maybe some stories, they find us at the exact moment we need them to. So the story kicks off with a 63-year-old writer. She's recently widowed, feeling a bit adrift, and she takes a wrong turn off a highway and just stumbles upon this abandoned house. It's one of those accidents that feels a lot like fate. And when she goes inside, there's this pull. She can't explain it, but she feels she has to stay. And in a desk drawer, she finds the house's secret, a packet of letters. And these letters, they unravel this incredible 40-year love affair between a woman named Mathilde and her married lover, Paul. This house, she realizes, was their sanctuary. It was a whole world built just for stolen moments. As the narrator reads through these letters, living in the quiet of this house, she starts to realize something. This place, it's teaching her some pretty profound lessons about her own life, a life she thought she had all figured out. So the first big lesson is all about this idea of performance. The narrator has this light bulb moment where she recognizes she spent her whole adult life playing a part. The successful novelist, the easygoing, accommodating wife. And this is something I think we can all relate to, right? In this age of social media and professional personas, she's lost track of who she is when nobody's watching. And this quote, wow, it just nails that feeling. In the house, in its deep silence, nothing is asked of her. She doesn't have to be charming. She doesn't have to be interesting. For the first time in what feels like forever, the performance can finally stop. Okay, so the next thing she has to wrestle with is the huge difference between being lonely and being in solitude. And the manuscript makes this super important distinction. Loneliness is about what you're missing, but true solitude, that's something you choose. It's a full creative state of being. And where does she learn this? From Mathilde's letters, of course. She realizes Mathilde wasn't just sitting around sadly waiting for her lover. No way. She had built this rich, fulfilling life for herself in his absence. She loved him when he was there, and she loved her own company when he was gone. And all of this builds to the final lesson, learning to embrace the contradiction. It's really about the wisdom of accepting that life isn't black and white. It's messy. You can feel grief and relief at the same time. You can love someone deeply and also love the freedom you feel when they're not around. Okay, so here's where things get really interesting. Because this manuscript, it isn't just some simple story. The whole thing is this carefully built fiction. And the narrator at the center of it all, she's actually a ghost from literary history. Get this. The story is presented as a lost, final work by the real-life French author Françoise Sagan. If you don't know her, she became world famous at just 18 for her novel Bonjour Tristesse, and went on to live this very public, very turbulent life. And this comparison, this right here, is the absolute heart of the whole project. The manuscript imagines this quiet, reflective, peaceful end for Sagan. It's an alternate history that's a world away from her actual, much more difficult life. It's a really powerful act of, well, literary wishful thinking. But wait, the story doesn't stop there. There's a sequel called What Remains, and it explores how this hard-won wisdom gets passed down through the generations. So you can see how this house, it becomes this kind of vessel, right? Carrying this wisdom through time. It moves from Mathilde, the original letter writer in the past, to our fictional version of Sagan in the present, and then finally to her granddaughter Sophie, who represents the future. So Sophie gets the house when she's 27, and she's feeling pretty trapped in her own life, in her own marriage. She finds her grandmother's manuscript and suddenly has to confront the exact same questions about performance, solitude, and what it even means to live an authentic life. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? From Mathilde's letters to Sagan's imagined life to Sophie's choice? Well, this whole layered story, it connects directly back to us. Because the November house, it's not just some building in the French countryside. It's a really powerful metaphor. It's a metaphor for that essential space. Whether it's an actual room, a hobby, or just a quiet moment where we can finally stop performing for the world and start listening to ourselves. And so the story ultimately leaves us to look at our own lives and ask, where is that space for us? What is your November house? And what's the essential part of you that remains when you finally find it?